All right, it's Dave the IT guy. I'm back from Las Vegas. Man, what a week. 112 degrees, Black Hat, Diana Initiative, B-Sides Las Vegas, and of course, DEF CON. I got to tell you, this year, a lot of new things, a lot of opportunities, a few new aggravations. We'll get to those. And then at the end of this episode, I actually want to talk about something that most of us on the pen test and hacker side of this thing knows about, but I get to speak to someone who is actually doing it, and we'll talk about what it is here in just a little bit. But first off, let's get to going. Listen to me, I'm all excited, I can't even talk. Let's get started with Black Hat and what that was all about this year, for me at least. And of course, for those that don't know, Black Hat starts officially on a Wednesday, Thursday. Tuesday you have some intro stuff. If you pay for trainings, you actually get to go out the Saturday beforehand and you get to do some training. So usually Saturday, Sunday, or possibly Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, depends on which class you sign up for. You can train. Some of these trainings are just learning how to do stuff. Some of the training is geared towards earning a certification. So again, just depends on what you want to do, but there are boatloads of opportunities for training. And usually if you buy a training pass, that also gets you into the rest of the event, the vendor village stuff, and the other presentations called briefings. For me, I don't go out for the trainings. I go out as a member of the media, so I go out to meet folks. And those folks are vendors, yes, presenters, researchers, and just people I meet in the hallway. This year, I took it upon myself to make sure I met people that I'm following on Twitter or other social media that I have never met in the past. And I had an opportunity to actually meet a young lady from my own hometown of Cincinnati. Her Twitter handle is @GabSmash. That's 2 H's on the end. And she is a unique person, young lady, genetic scientist or something like that. She is spoke as a featured speaker at the Diana Initiative, which we'll talk about here in just a few moments. She's a pen tester, works for a major cybersecurity company who I won't mention. I'll let her tell that story if she wants to. By and large, though, very well-rounded IT cybersecurity person, and the fact that she is female doesn't change anything. However, when I spoke to her, and if you go back and look at my other episodes, you'll find a 15-minute interview I did with her on the spot out there. Her being in the field certainly has created its own, or presented at least its own set of challenges or aggravations. People assuming she's a sales rep for a tech company, or maybe the model for a booth or something like that. You know what I mean? So she's very acutely aware of how females in the cybersecurity world are viewed. And as a brief hint, that's exactly what the Diana Initiative is all about. Helping females, young and old, career changers, new high school students, decide how to get into the cybersec world and or the IT world as a whole. And we'll get to that. But so out there at Black Hat, opportunity to meet folks. I interviewed a few. I just sit around and talk to a bunch. I actually even spent some time going down to Vendor Village. And, of course, they want to scan your badge and they want to send you a bunch of emails afterwards trying to get you to buy stuff. And I have to remind them I'm there as media, not as an IT person. I'm not there to represent the company I work for during the day. I'm there to represent myself as media and to learn and to present what I learned to you guys. This year, many of the vendors out there are, of course, they're always telling you the AI and machine learning and all the other buzzwords that come from those industry sales reps. But when you get past those folks and you actually are able to speak to the techs, the engineers, the developers, understand what they were trying to do when they created a product or a service or, modified some solution in some way, being able to understand from that point of view is awesome. Oftentimes in this field, we grab a tool and we're thinking, man, what the hell were they thinking? And why did they do it this way? And why would they do that? Or whatever it is. So I took the time to go and reach out, and I spoke to people from Palo Alto, from Cisco. Who else? Those are the two. Those are the two I really wanted to go talk to. I met some folks from Exabeam, the SIM company. I met just a wide variety of folks doing a wide variety of things. I met some people that work for the FBI. The FBI had a booth out there that they were actively recruiting from, and so I got to talk to them to understand, how they see the cybersecurity world from the law enforcement side versus how we might see it as pen testers or as hackers or red teamers, blue teamers, etc. I also get to meet folks that are, just everyday IT people trying to learn. Going over to the demo area, which is called Arsenal at Black Hat, is exciting. You have a very cramped space. You have a lot of up-and-coming companies or researchers who are just trying to show you the research they've done or a small product, open source or for-profit that they've created. And being able to sit there in real time and see their passion for what they've done and to understand what they're trying to do was exciting as well. And I've done that in the past, but for some reason this year struck me as a more exciting year as far as the folks running their Arsenal demonstrations, how excited they were about their stuff seemed to be just at a different level this year. But I want to take a minute and go back to talking about to some of these developers and company leadership, executives and people who wanted to tell me the whys and the thought process behind what they were doing. And I have to tell you that I walked away this year with a much, much better understanding and honestly appreciation for even some of the products that I use day to day. I got to talk to Tenables people about how, Nessus went from open source to a paid thing, and I got to talk to them about their .io and .sc product platforms and really understanding what their intent was and why they're going to a paid model. Of course, the obvious, they want to make money, but also taking their original product, Nessus, to the for-profit platform. Really gave them an avenue to develop some very, very robust tertiary tools that work in the .io and .sc platforms for them. So one example, Palo, they recognized quickly that it's hard to be an all-in-one company for everybody. But as they started buying companies, and even most recently buying Demisto, the orchestration company, and integrating that into their environment and ecology for the Palo world, was very interesting to see how they viewed what they did and the re-architecting and re-engineering that they did so that many of these companies that they bought would be a very seamless piece of the Palo world. And Cisco did the same, and some of these other companies. So for those of you who normally view Black Hat as, I don't want to go deal with these damn vendors or sales reps and stuff like that, I would say that if you're heading out to Vegas for any of the other conferences, you certainly don't want to miss those. But if you have the opportunity to head over to Black Hat, it's probably a good opportunity for you to meet vendors if you are in the market for a new product or service, and having an opportunity to have them all in one space and just spend time. You can really spend a lot of one-on-one time. They'll give you a whole day if that's what you want, or hours, or just minutes. So I just wanted to kind of deflect some of that thought process that even I had about having I don't want to go near these vendors, right? Of course, the briefings at Black Hat are just becoming heads and shoulders above what they used to be. These people now that are putting CFPs in to present their research are freaking amazing people, and you have to really map out what you want to visit and what you want to listen to before the week even starts. There is so much content. There are so many. And thankfully, that stuff gets filmed, all of it, and it gets put online. You can buy a subscription to just watch all the presentations on the Black Hat Media site, which, is probably not a bad idea for most people either. So, and then one last shout out, the folks, Grifter, I want to shout him out, especially, but all of his volunteers and teammates that run Black Hat's NOC, they do a kick-ass job. They come in, they set up an entire world of LAN with various vendor partners, Ruckus and Palo Alto and a few others, to make sure that people will have an opportunity to learn and do things, but yet, stay safe and not do anything too stupid on the network. And even this year, I heard a story about somebody that was at training who had their personal laptop there, who had used a VPN and was sending some financial documents out. And those documents showed up in the clear on the Black Hat network. Black Hat's people immediately identified that, immediately identified the machine, figured out the user's email name and password, because he typed it in the clear, although he thought it was encrypted on VPN. And they were able to hurry and go and identify where that person was in the building and educate him on the fact that even though he thought his VPN was working properly, it was leaking data. And ultimately, it looked like he had a dual-homed VPN, that split tunnel going on. So, again, man, they just so Grifter. Kudos to you and your team again. I think, if I remember correctly, this is probably 20 years for him, and many of his teammates have been around for pretty close the whole time as well. So, great job as always to those guys, keeping everybody safe, and for another effective Black Hat. So let's jump over to Diana Initiative. So this year was the second year. This event is geared towards females, teenagers, younger girls, up to career-changing career women, and offered the opportunity of female speakers and a female audience, away from the male audience and the real or perceived embarrassment of trying to get in this field and not wanting to have to address being a female as well. But either way, those ladies put on an outstanding event. Now, I did not get to go this year. I went last year to meet the organizers and to see how they were set up, and it was amazing then. This year, Gabby, our @GabSmash person I spoke of already, was a featured speaker at their event, and the list of speakers this year was outstanding. As I heard it from other people who did attend, the event went off awesomely and without a hitch. So congratulations to them for year number 2. If you are female and you think that I don't want to go out there and I can't hack with the best, I don't know what I'm doing, etc., guess what? Head over to the Diana Initiative. Check them out online, DianaInitiative.com, and go visit with them and just be kind of chill. Go learn around other females and enjoy doing what you want. And if you want to be in the IT field or the security sector or whatever you want to do, go do it. Don't let some guy or some male or some preconceived notion about your gender or gender identity make you feel uncomfortable. Diana Initiative is the place for you. I also want to talk about B-Sides Las Vegas. Again, another great event this year. I heard, the originators of B-Sides. If you volunteer out there, you can get a free ticket to go. If you hook up and either buy tickets, you can sign up on their site for their hotel block, and you get some great discounts. Vegas hotels have resort fees and stuff like that. You get your hotel under the B-Sides block. You get 2 free tickets to B-Sides, and you also don't pay hotel fees. It's great. So B-Sides, not much to say about them because they're just awesome. All the B-Sides events around the country have exploded. Having local, small, speakers who are more regional to you, except for Vegas, it's kind of a different story. But, Cincinnati B-Sides, Washington, D.C., Raleigh, Columbus, Ohio, Cleveland, there's B-Sides all over the place. They find regional, local speakers to talk about things that are happening to them in their area. Look it up online. Go find you a B-Sides in your neighborhood and go check them out. Go enjoy learning from people in your own community and be a speaker. Share what you know. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be perfect. You just feel comfortable about what you know, or you want to share an experience and how you fixed it, whatever. Reach out to the B-Sides organizers in your area and tell them, I want to share my story. I've got something I think other people would want to hear about, and be a part of the solution, helping everybody stay more secure. So B-Sides Vegas, great job. As always, one of my friends was out there as one of your volunteers and absolutely loved his time there. So great job. All right, let's talk about DEF CON, and then I'm going to talk about an attack vector that we all know about anyway. But DEF CON 27 was here in 2019. Bigger in a few ways. Bigger basically because they added stuff. We added Ethics Village, which kicked off well. You had a blue team and a red team village, depending on what you like to do. The Car Hacking Village added 3 cars, physical cars, into the village for you to work against. The Voting Village had some great opportunities and great ideas. Even DARPA brought in a voting machine that ultimately you couldn't hack against because they had some problems just getting the thing to turn on and connect to external sources. But they have vowed to come back in 2020, so even that'll get bigger. As far as I'm concerned, DEF CON will always be the premier hacker thing to do. The only thing I personally did not like this year was the location. It's still in Vegas, of course, but Caesars Palace had all the space that DEF CON needed under one big roof, whereas this year, because of last year's issues with Caesars, they actually moved to another Caesars-owned property. So it was split up between the Paris, Bally's, Planet Hollywood, and the Flamingo. And lots of walking. In some cases, you had to go outside to get from point A to point B. You had to go up and over the walkways over traffic, things like that. I saw several people on crutches, wheelchairs, and other limited mobility type of things, like those little carts that you put your knee on when your foot is hurt and you scoot your way across the floor or whatever. So lots of folks having some issues getting from A to B and or missing some of the DEF CON events because of said location and the difficulties in moving around. By looking at the DEF CON dates for 2020, it is August 6th through the 9th. It's going to be at the new Caesars Forum, so it looks like they're moving back a little bit. Harrah's, Link, and Flamingo. So it looks like they're taking Bally's and Planet Hollywood out of the equation for next year. So hopefully that'll make it a little bit better. And for those that have issues, that'll resolve some of that for them. But August 6th through the 9th in 2020 in Vegas, the room blocks are already up online if you want to go out to defcon.org and check that out and get yourself a room. I personally am not a Hotel Vegas Strip guy, so I tend to get Airbnb housing a little bit off Strip. Yes, I have to drive or take an Uber, but for me, I just like it better than being on the Strip, so it works out for me well. May not work that way for everybody. If you like the hubbub and being right there on top of things, or honestly just being close to your room like that, there is that benefit. So there are good reasons to stay local. Just depends on what you like. But again, opportunities to meet people, do things. One thing I didn't say about Black Hat and DEF CON, after parties. My gosh, if you really, really want to get to know people, check out the after parties pages for both events and sign up, register, whatever, to go to these things. Sometimes you have to be invited. Sometimes just simply signing up gets you in. Sometimes you have to have a badge, that shows that you were an attendee at these events. But once you get to these parties, the people that you meet are insanely awesome and much more relaxed. Everybody's got a drink or two, or at least a soda, something. Got some food in them. They're sitting around relaxing a little bit. They're comfortable and just having some fun. I got to attend a party, and I'm not going to name drop or anything like that, but a well-known person in the security field who is the founder of a couple security companies, and his staff had a private home in Vegas. I would dare call it a private mansion. It was awesome. Pool party, DJ, food, bartenders, game room, and great people, great conversation. I met so many people there that I heard about and never met in person that I almost walked around starstruck. I've been in this field 20 years. I've been a professional hacker, pen tester, researcher for the last 10 of them. And still, I felt like I was going to my first rock concert and getting a guitar pick from Gene Simmons or whoever, as a kid. It was amazing. So taking photos of some of these folks, meeting them, shaking their hand, and just having an opportunity to talk to them and learn about who they are and what they're all about, that you can't really learn from a Twitter page or from online stuff, was outstanding. So you guys know who you are. I said thank you many times. I'm going to say it again. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your world that week. It was awesome. And to the other attendees, if you didn't get a chance to go to many of these parties, there are so many, multiple parties a day. Don't short yourself on the experiences. Get out, have some fun, drop the technology for a little while and just go enjoy being a human. That's partly our problem in this field, is that we all get so disconnected from human interaction because all of our interaction is electronic. So take a time, disconnect, meet people face to face, and don't wait till Black Hat and DEF CON to do that. Do that crap every day, weekly, do something, but make sure you don't lose that skill in and of itself of just how to be a nice human being to be around, and not a douchebag to be around, because there are definitely plenty of those at these events. So don't be a douchebag is my new trending hashtag. Don't be a douchebag. There you go. All right. So I'd like to spend the last few minutes of this episode talking about an attack vector that, again, most of us know, have heard about. Maybe we've tried it, maybe we haven't. Maybe we don't give much credence to it. Maybe we don't pay much attention to it. Maybe you do pay a lot of attention to it. And what I'm talking about is printer vulnerabilities. Printers, by and large, are often ignored. There are many reports out there. I read one just recently that said most IT security people don't even think that the printers in their environment are a platform they need to worry about. 17% of the people surveyed said, yes, we pay attention to our printer platform. 17%. And that was a pretty major research article that was written. So if you're one of the 17%, I applaud you. I was not, to be honest. I wasn't part of the research, but had I been, I would not have taken the printer platform as seriously as I should have. I can tell you that in that same report, the most secure devices and the one printer company that takes printer security and platform security the most serious is HP. They were ranked great. HP was in every category, and a couple of other printing companies were in others. But when it comes to how HP focuses on printers, let me give you a few bullet points. Runtime intrusion detection with self-healing. Instant on security. Secure booting with self-healing. Those are only HP functions. HP and Lexmark have device-level SIM integration. So if you have a SIM and you have HP and Lexmark printers, you can integrate those into your SIM for research and data correlation. If you have an HP, a Lexmark, or Kyocera, depending on your pronunciation, those have turn on and off remote firmware upgrade, meaning you turn it on, you get your firmware upgrade, and it automatically turns itself right back off, so that somebody's not jumping in and uploading fake firmware to your stuff. Only HP and Xerox have full print device security administrator notification capabilities. So effectively, that just means you can shut down or lock down that security, your administrator login info, and then be notified if somebody's trying to mess with it, trying to brute force it or whatever. And by the way, if you have a printer that is web or network connected on your network and you have not changed the default admin password, what the hell is wrong with you? I at least do that much myself. Change the dang password. You're driving me nuts, people. Driving me nuts. All right. And then lastly, only HP and the Kyocera are U.S. NIST included. So the NIST organization has a checklist about printers, and only HP and Kyocera are included in the U.S. NIST checklist. So HP has Sure Start built into their BIOS, which basically checks its own health and how it operates. So again, every category I said, HP's in it, and then some categories HP and one other organization or one or two others are a part of it, but HP is a part of everything. So when it comes to security, printer security, I should say, you want to take a look at your stuff. And if you got something other than HP, you're really going to need to take a look at how it's configured, and you're going to have to manually go in and harden these things. HP's got some automated tools that let you, go in from one central console and administrate all of your printers, so you can do some stuff. Kyocera, I think, has that capability. Lexmark might, I'm not sure. But you're going to have to go in and manually do it versus having some automation like HP. So if you do have HP printers in your environment, then you need to check them out and make sure that everything is set correctly to meet your needs and your standards. So let's talk about for a minute how these printers can be used. One of the more recent, I should say, attacks per se was a guy, we think it's a guy, don't really know. It goes by the name Stack Overflow, and he or she did an attack against about 150,000 printers, and effectively just sent them a print job that basically says you're now a part of the Flaming Botnet or the Pwned, and he used some ASCII art, and said to other printers, close the port, skid. So it's easy to do. You only have to look for internet printing protocols, line printer daemons, and port 9100. Of course, we all know about the one website that goes out and looks for this kind of stuff. I'm not trying to make it too easy. If I have a bad actor listening to this podcast, I'm not going to give you all the details about how to effect an attack using printers. But if you're in the field, you already know. So you want to lock your stuff down because you don't want to show up on that one well-known website that monitors these kinds of things for people to say, hey, there's an open printer right over there. What can I do with it? And a lot of these printers have storage space, so of course people can upload some bad files and then launch those bad files from that space. You can launch denial of service attacks, even if you only launch a denial of service attack against the printer itself, depending on whose printer it is and what it prints out. That still could be a very bad thing. Imagine if you launched a denial of service against the printers of one of these well-known printing services retail organizations, and then all of a sudden they cannot print all their customer stuff because they have a denial of service attack. That would be a problem. So for those of you that work in those industries and you are maybe a clerk, you don't know crap about security, not really sure why you'd be listening to this podcast if that's the case. But if that is the case, reach out to your IT people and make sure they are locking your stuff down, making sure that they are paying attention to how that works. A hacker could also get in there and retrieve. Every time a printer prints something, an artifact of that print job lands in memory and kind of stays there. So, a skilled hacker could log in and retrieve those artifacts, reprint them to their own printer, and then now maybe confidential documents that you've printed, things that were only intended for certain people, are now available to the hacker and anybody that hacker wants to sell or give it to. These things also run like web servers and stuff. So a hacker could, if he has a wider range of access to your network, could actually host a small website or something off of that. If he has access to your firewalls, he could NAT into there and then allow your printer to serve as command and control for some other botnet or some other malware infection, and everybody's beaconing back to your lonely printer sitting in the basement that you forgot was even there. So a lot of options, a lot of methodologies that printers can be problematic. Many of us just kind of plug them in and go. We map printers on our print server, or maybe we just map them via IP address to each individual user. But whatever your method is, if you're not taking the time to change the default administrator passwords on them, if you're not taking the time to make sure that they are properly secured, then you are probably just one attack away from being reminded why you should have paid attention. So there it is, my commentary about printers. And the reason, again, that I brought that up was during my couple of days at DEF CON this year, I met someone who was doing some research, and part of his research was he wanted to see how much he could abuse a printer as a platform. He wanted to see, can I launch command and control from there? If I had firewall access that I could allow in from somebody's firewall and maybe they don't know about it. You might even have one of those all-in-one printers at your house, and then your ISP came in and set up your wireless or your internet, and basic tech that he didn't or she didn't really know how to lock things down. That little all-in-one jobber could be just enough, because those things have small web interfaces and a little bit of storage space, and that could be just enough, and where your home printer could be a beacon for one of these malware attacks or for a denial of service attack. So it's not just for businesses. At home, you kind of need to know what you got, and you need to pay attention and learn. And if you don't know, you need to either find somebody in your family or friends circle that does know, or I guess bite the bullet and hire somebody to just come out and take a quick look, or have them remote in and do the job. Although remote service support, if you don't know the people, could be equally as dangerous, because there are times, and unfortunately many of them, that these remote services companies are actually dropping malware or trackers or others inside your network, so that they have a reason to make you want to call them again, right, and spend more money. So you even have to be kind of picky about who you let remote in under that auspice. Anyway, so all right, so that's what I got. That's today. That's my review. So yes, we could deep dive into every DEF CON presentation that I went to. We could deep dive into some of the capture the flag stuff that I observed. I did get to go against the car hacking village and hack a few things to see what accesses I could gain. They had some actual instructions, so if you kind of got stuck, there was some written documentation where it would help you achieve some particular goal. And since at the time I did not have a wide range of car hacking experience, I certainly availed myself of those instructions to help guide me and get me going. But I can honestly and proudly say that once I got going and I understood the direction it was taking me, I was able to figure it out the rest of the way myself and achieve a few of the flags per se. So it was fun. I had a great opportunity. I got to spend time with Cisco up at the Blue Village and Blue Team Village, and see what they were doing on the Umbrella and AMP side of the world. And I did go over and look a little bit on the dark side at the Red Team Village, although I can tell you there was a line for days. You were going to sit for quite some time in line to get into the Red Team Village. Everybody wants to be a hacker. Nobody wants to be a defender. So Blue Team Village did not have a line, but it was fully busy. But the Red Team Village was packed and had a line. So shame on you people for only wanting to be bad guys. But all joking aside, very great job by the people putting those different villages on. Hardware Hacking Village, of course, was always a great thing. Lockpick Villages going on. The strips, like tape, what do they call that? Tampering Village was a great thing again. You had biohacking. You had a drone village. The aviation village this year was awesome. They had an F-35 flight simulator there, and they had some other stuff there that you could kind of watch. And then there was a team, group that was there, and they had live hacking thing going on via remote video that you could watch. That they were doing a true pen test against Department of Defense box that clones data from fighter jets. When these jets land, the pilots have to take their hard drives out, and they clone the data from A to B, and then the drives get erased, and they can start all over for their next mission. Then the data gets uploaded to some other magical location. So the actual device that does this cloning and uploading, this organization had been hired to do a pen test against that device. And so you could watch those people. You could only watch. There was no sound, and you couldn't really see what they were doing, but you could see the fact that they were doing something. and the device itself was right there in front of you on a table for demonstration, and some folks were there answering questions, so that was fun too. So aviation, we've heard about planes possibly being hacked and things, and well, here they were right in front of our face doing the work, so great job for them too. That's what I got. So thanks for listening. Thanks for checking it out. Make sure you go listen to some of the interviews that I did with Bud Crowd, with Gabrielle, with a few others. And I've got more great interviews lined up over the coming weeks. We're going to be talking to another person, Cesar, who was part of the knock at Black Hat. We'll talk about the experiences and some of the stuff he saw going on for the week. We're going to talk to the CEO from Cybrary, the online learning platform that many of us are way familiar with. I studied for my CISSP using Kelly Handerhan video from that site. I've got some other great folks coming too, folks that did the VetCon at DEF CON. So VetCon was kind of a one-day thing for veterans, right, to either get employed, stay employed, become better educated, whatever the case needed to be. They were out there reaching out to vets. So we're going to bring those guys on the air with us here shortly too. And then I'm actually going to be bringing Gabrielle back, and we're going to be talking about a SOC, putting a SOC together, not the SOC on your feet, but a security operations center. One of my Twitter followers commented on another interview about why didn't she bring up, or why, what could she, not why, but could she talk about the things that she wished she knew when building a SOC from the ground up, and that's a great topic. So we're going to be doing that here in just a week with Gabrielle or two. She needs to have time to actually do her regular job and to kind of put her thoughts together to talk about it intelligently. So so Gabrielle will be back. For those of you that liked my first interview with her, you'll have her for an hour. So make sure that you are looking out for that one, and follow me at BYOS Radio on Twitter. You can find me on Facebook under the same name, and you can go out to iHeartRadio. My name is Dave the IT Guy. You can find me if you look for that on iHeartRadio. You can go out to almost any podcasting and find either Dave the IT Guy or BYOS Radio. Bring your own security radio. You can even grab me up off of Spotify and iTunes, or Apple Music, Google Music, and all the other great places that you like podcasts. So thanks for tuning in. I am Dave the IT Guy. Until next week, take care of yourself.